So my name is Joshua Washington, as you know. I have a stage name that I go by as an artist. It's JoDavi, which is my first and middle name. My middle name is David, so my name is Joshua David. A couple of years ago, I decided to mesh those two words together. That's how you get JoDavi. I do a lot of music, as you heard Pastor Dumisani say. Directed a music school, composer, arranger. I do a lot of different things for different artists, sometimes different labels when it comes to string arrangements, horn arrangements, backup vocal arrangements, session keyboard work, or whatever else that people may need. I also sometimes do film, so film, score, composing, short films, things like that. And I wanted to share a little bit of my story with you, and it kind of ties into the story kind of ties into what we need to talk about, so it's all kind of combined into one. You guys heard a little bit of it. I know for those of you who were at the ambassador's house last night, where I almost just cried like a baby, it was a moment for me because, as some of you know, my late wife, Olga Mishwe Washington, she was South African native, staunch supporter of Israel, friends of the Jewish people, daughter of Africa, and this is something that she would be right here in the front row doing. She would have been one of the speakers, she would have been one of the main organizers, all those things. So being here in this very Pan-African setting is a very bittersweet moment for me. And that's the word I've been using a lot this past year, is bittersweet, where you enjoy something, but you remember some of the things that happened for you to get to where you are. So I'm gonna share some music, if we can get the Bluetooth to work.
Hey! Tell me how much you love me so, but I won't go. Say you hate me forevermore, but I won't go. No, I won't go. I won't go. No, I won't go. No, I won't go. Hey, no, I won't go. I won't go. No, I won't go. No, I won't go. Hey, hey, hey. Show me the world against me, but I won't go. Turn all my friends against me. Yo, 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 why are you so? Why are you so? Why are you so? Cause I won't go. No, no, I won't go. I won't go. No, I won't go. No, I won't go. Hey, hey, hey. Woo.
I'm gonna share with you something else here too. This is one of the songs that we sang yesterday, and I was gonna share more about it. I'll share more about it now. But that one that you heard, "I Won't Go," was very much. It was inspired by an artist I like a lot, Fela Kuti. And then this one, you might recognize this one. It's just a little clip. So that one is a song actually that was inspired by a lot of Ethiopian music. One of my favorite artists from here is Teddy Afro, but there's several others. And that the rhythm, I fell in love with just how songs would flow. And that song came out of nowhere. I was at home, and my late wife Olga was traveling. She was in South Africa for what we now know was her last trip. and she already wasn't doing too well physically. And so I had texted her, and this is one of our last conversations before she came back. But I let her know that I've been working on this song. It's a song of healing for you. So El Na Rafa Nala is a Hebrew phrase which means God, please heal her. It's a phrase that comes from the book of Numbers, where when Moses' sister Miriam was struck with leprosy, and Moses interceded for her and said, God, please heal her, and then God healed her. And I've heard different versions of that phrase before, different songs, but when I heard the phrase again, I immediately heard this more East African kind of groove, and so that song came out of there. So I let her know, I said, I have this song, it's got a little bit of Setswana in it, and I was asking Gift and Prudence if it sounded okay when I did it yesterday. It's got Hebrew in it, and it's a healing song for you. So one of the things that I told her I would do is I would share it with her when she got back. She never made it all the way back home, so I was never able to share that song with her. So whenever I do it, so again, that word bittersweet again, I love playing the song, I love performing it, but then it reminds me of a song that was specifically for her that I never actually got to show her. So when we're talking about Jerusalem and Zion, and I'm not gonna, our clergymen here have really been doing deep teachings on these things. I'm just gonna do a little summary myself, is that songs of freedom, songs that allude to Zion, songs that date back to back in the 1700s, back when we were enslaved. Black Africans were enslaved in the Americas. There were songs that were written and sung about freedom, and they always had allusions to Jerusalem or the New Jerusalem or Zion. And the reason for that is, in a very spiritual sense, because that's our home, right? That's where we're citizens of. We are citizens of the New Jerusalem. Did you all know that we were citizens of the New Jerusalem? If you didn't know that. If you do know that, raise your hand, just to make sure. Okay. So there's a residence that's always there, and that always coincided with freedom. I was talking to my Israeli friend the time before last when I was in Israel, and we talked about both the Black American story, and she's an Iraqi Jew, the Iraqi Jewish story. And we were talking about, there's parallels there and all that, but then she made a point that, even the songs that your ancestors sang when they were in slavery, those songs were taken from our history, right? Those songs were lifted out of our scriptures. So there's a synergy that's there that goes very, very far back, and there's this borrowing, because yes, we did lift that from the scriptures, but as you all know, culturally, the foundation of American music is Black music. So there is this kind of back and forth borrowing and sharing here. And it's no less true here, even in this context. So some of you knew Olga. As a matter of fact, Olga introduced me to some of you. Some of you guys didn't know her. But Olga, like I said, she was a force to be reckoned with. She was a lawyer from South Africa. She was a dynamic speaker. She has addressed the UN several times. She was in the middle of starting these pretty big initiatives. Some of them are actually, the effects of some of them are felt here now. Her fingerprints are still on a lot of things that we're doing here at IBSI, and they will be for quite a while. That's her with Ezra, that's her with Judah. So we got married 3 times, once in California, and then we had 2 weddings over 2 days in South Africa. That's the Shwe Shwe, those patterns are from her tribe, from the Tswana tribe that we wore. It's a very joyous occasion. That's us with our parents, her mother of blessed memory, Mama Lydia, who passed away 2 years before she did. Right after she passed away, I updated my Substack. It's just a place where I write kind of long form stuff. I've been using it a lot to write about Israel, but it's my music page where I just write what I'm feeling. And so I updated people. That was January 6th, 2025. After I did that, I canceled everything. I had shows coming up. I had things coming up for the year. Canceled everything for the year. Shut everything down. And over the next few months, we were just trying to figure out what to do, how to pick up the pieces. And what happened after that, over those next few weeks, I started to write again, just one song that I was working on. It was just the chorus. I couldn't quite finish it. We had 3 funeral services, so there's 3 weddings, and 3 funeral services. The first one was in Israel. That's where she's buried. Olga is buried in Israel to the north, next to a town called Haifa. That was something that was approved by the president's office, President Isaac Herzog, who actually came and sat Shiva with us. He came and he paid his respects to us, visited us, and actually made a whole video about Olga and our families, and it was a very beautiful thing. And that's where she was buried. The second ceremony was in South Africa, and the third one was in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we live. So 3 services. And on the third one, the gap between the second and third one was about 6 weeks. And in that gap, I wound up finishing the song that I had written for her. I'm just going to share with you a clip. That's the tour. So after I finished the song, I went on this tour called Journey to Healing. The first show on the tour was in Jerusalem. Then we went to London and then across the U.S. I'm just going to share this song with you, and we'll go from here.
I think our souls, they always knew. When I look back and remember the things we'd say and do that we could not explain, even in your final hours, when you told me you were grateful. That was your soul's farewell, and my song to you was mine. Oh, will you remember to visit our dream? So that our sons can say their goodbyes to you. And I will see you at the end of time. Once again you'll place your hand in mine, and we can pick up on the things we left behind. I will see you at the end of time. It's hard.
So that song, again, that was the first one. In the song, even in the song like that, there are allusions to the golden streets of Jerusalem. When I study this kind of stuff, it's always been fascinating to me, but this past year, it's gotten a lot more personal, right? So as I'm writing these things, it's just kind of flowing that way. And what it said to me is that you can't really escape, you can't really get around the significance of Zion for us as Christians, obviously for our Jewish brothers and sisters, and where the nations will flow. So even in a song like that, there's a message about us all eventually flowing there, right? So I'll see her there, but there's a deeper message of there is a place that she's in, and I'll be there too. We'll all be there as well, amen? And that's something that both gives me hope, but also in this past year of traveling and doing these songs, I found that there's a lot of people are grieving something, and they don't know how to respond to it. A lot of people have lost; they don't know what to do with it, and I found that these events, these shows, these concerts have been a source of healing for others. Okay, so now, did you guys bring your Bibles with you? Okay, all right. I want to just quickly talk about this because if you open your Bibles, let's go to Daniel chapter 3. Quick context, quick summary before that. You have Nebuchadnezzar. He comes and he sieges Israel, destroys the temple, kills many Israelites, takes many more into slavery, leaves others there in Jerusalem in the squalor. There are specific men who have distinguished themselves that Nebuchadnezzar takes in to work for him. Daniel was one of them. And then you have the 3 Hebrew boys, who we know as, or who most of us were taught were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which were the names that Nebuchadnezzar gave to them. Their real names were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Hananiah, the Lord is gracious. Mishael, who is like God. And Azariah, God is my help. So you have Nebuchadnezzar. He has this crazy dream about a statue. He doesn't know what it means. He asks his magicians to tell him what it means, to tell him what his dream is, and tell him what it means. And they couldn't do it. But they say, hey, there's this guy named Daniel. He'll be able to do it. If anyone can do it, he can do it. So he goes to Daniel and says, I want you to tell me what I dreamed and what it means. So Daniel goes and he prays. God gives him the vision. He tells Nebuchadnezzar, the statue that you're dreaming of is of different kingdoms. You have the head of gold, the breastplate of silver. He said, this represents that, this represents that. So he tells him the whole dream, and then Nebuchadnezzar places Daniel as one of his top guys. Okay? So I'm just a quick summary so we can get to this. Are you guys following me still? So Daniel's in his court. Also, the 3 Hebrew boys have distinguished themselves as well. So now they are all serving in very high positions of power in Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. Nebuchadnezzar takes the dream, and he decides to make a statue of all gold, about 90 feet high, and orders everyone at these appointed times to come and bow down to the statue when they hear certain music playing. When you hear this music, you're going to bow down, okay? And this is where we are now. So if someone did get their Bibles out, if they can please nice and loud read Daniel chapter 3, verses 13 through 15. Before you do that, last thing. So now, the 3 Hebrew boys, they don't bow. You guys know this story, right? This is one of the most popular stories in our childhood as Christians. They don't bow down. The music plays, and they're just standing there like, everyone else is bowed down except for them. So Nebuchadnezzar sees this. He gets angry. He goes to them and he says, excuse me, what's going on here? And they're like, no, we're not going to do this. So he orders them to be taken to the fiery furnace. As punishment, they're going to be thrown into the furnace for not bowing down. So now what we're about to hear are the last thing that he says to them before he throws them into the furnace. This is the response here. I like using their Hebrew names, okay? So when you hear me say this, I'm reading their Hebrew names. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. He said, but if not, be it known to you, O king. To me, the best example of being an artist today, especially an artist who's a believer, in arenas that don't glorify God or are inherently wicked, The best example is in this book right here, because Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they're in exile, right? So they're living now in a town that's not their own. They're serving a king that doesn't revere God. They're able still to operate in excellence without compromising, right? They are still able to operate in excellence, but without compromising. It wasn't one or the other. Daniel was able to distinguish himself by not eating certain foods. The boys were able to distinguish themselves by not eating certain foods. Daniel distinguished himself in this way with the dream, but also with praying, right? The reason why our Jewish brothers and sisters face Jerusalem when they pray, especially when they're not in Israel, they face the east. It comes from this book. Daniel would face where Jerusalem was, and he would pray 3 times a day. 3 times a day. It's absolutely possible as an artist to be at the top of your game and not succumb to what's going on around you. As an artist, we are creators. Okay, we're creative beings, whether we're with music, it's visual art, whether it's fashion or photography. We are creative beings. And as creative beings, what we do reflects the nature of God, because God is the ultimate creator. So whether we know it or not, whether artists believe in God or not, whether they are aware of it or not, whenever they're creating something, they're tapping into something that's not physical, right? They're tapping into something that's spiritual. Everything that's created is inspired by something, whether good or bad. Whether it could be something godly, it can be something satanic, it can be something kind of weird or whatever. But it's never, creation comes from something else. When you're sitting and you're writing, you're working on something, how many of you ever, whether you wrote something or you made something, you were like, wow, this didn't feel like me, right? This didn't feel, even those of you who aren't artists, maybe you said something in a conversation, and you're like, that's not even something I would say. Why did I say that, right? That was something that God moved you to do. And one of the powerful things about art is that it gets to you in a way that even the most skilled speaker can never do. Even the most skilled preacher, the most charismatic, knowledgeable, funny, whatever. There's something about art, there's something about music. When you convey a message and you put it in a song, there's something about that goes right to people's hearts. And one of the things that I found this year, personally, in this grief journey that I've been on, is that that's even more true now, is that for me, I do my music, I share about my wife. At a certain point in the shows, there's not a dry eye in the house, right? And we're talking afterwards, people are sharing with me, I lost my sister when I was a kid, or I lost my mother. I've met people who've also lost their spouses. I've met people who've lost their children. And like I said, one of the things they say is you just, right when you started, before you even sang, right when you just started playing, it just pricked me right here. And that's for a reason. One of the things that in the West, a lot of us artists, believers, we take for granted that power. And unlike the boys here, which this response here is powerful to me, because they didn't say God is going to save us from this furnace. They said, we know that he can, but even if he doesn't, that really doesn't change anything for us. That right there is a model to me. The power that God has given us as artists, it's a responsibility. There's a responsibility that comes with it. To declare his goodness, to declare his word, to speak truth, even in situations where you're not sure how it's going to be received. If God gave you something, you have to share it. Amen? That's your mandate as a creative, as an artist. The challenge is doing it at a time where godly things aren't revered or glorified or acknowledged or even loved. They're hated. And the challenge that we're facing here with artists particularly in the West is, first of all, forget about the furnace. We just don't want to lose followers. Okay? So we're not even talking about multi-million-dollar record label deals. I'm talking about at the lowest levels. I'm just trying to get to 10,000 followers. So maybe I'll take my clothes off a little bit more so I can get more followers, right? I'm just trying to get to 12.5 thousand followers. So maybe I'll do like a shirtless thing, I'll work out and get these muscles so I can kind of, they call it thirst trapping, right? Or you don't even need someone, what did Bishop say? The devil doesn't have to fight you, he just has to find you, right? He's here, I got some money for you, now dance. Okay, sure, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to dance? Seriously, so we're so ready to sell out, we don't need Sony to come to us, and we got social media, we'll do whatever we need to do. And then particularly for believers, the danger becomes we sometimes justify bowing to the statue because, well, God gave me this platform and I have to hold on to this platform because I have a message I have to give out. So, it's just a gesture. I'm just gonna bow for a second. What's the big deal? It's just a statue, right? We're not willing to simply not do what everyone else is doing, let alone do what we're supposed to do. We're not willing to simply not do what everyone else is doing. And what I found, being in this space for about 18 years now, is that there's always a trajectory. It's always a slope that goes down because what starts with, I don't want to say this even though I know I should because I'm afraid of what's going to happen to my network and my followers and my clout, turns into, I'm going to say what I know I shouldn't say because I want to keep my network in my clout. I've seen it happen. I just saw it happen in real time. Just the last month was the most recent one. Had a friend who, we had these conversations. I admire what you do. I admire what your family does. But I don't know. I gotta maintain this, Okay, now, it's like night and day. Now she's just saying things that I know she is inherently against, but she's trying to continue to keep her platform. You don't have to try and keep your platform. What do they say? We'll die. Fine, kill us. It has nothing to do with the fact that we're not bound to that statue. We're not dancing to your song, nothing. God put us here, and if God sees fit that our time is over, our time is over. That's fine, Nebuchadnezzar. Do what you want to do. Now, we know the ending of the story. We know that God saves them, but they didn't know that was going to happen, right? They didn't know what was going to happen, but they were prepared to lose their lives for their God. That's the responsibility that we have as creatives, and more than just that. So that's just the beginning, right? Don't compromise. But how many know we're supposed to be the forebearers? We're supposed to give people the new sound, the new fashion, and my dad can talk about this a lot better than I can as a musician himself. Back in the 60s, and the 50s and 60s and 70s, gospel music used to define the sound of the country. Now it's the other way around. Now gospel music follows whatever trends are in pop culture. That's not how it used to be. I was talking to Connie about certain songs like Amazing Grace. Oh Happy Day. You guys know that song? Oh Happy Day. Of course you know that song, right? Of course you do. There's no one in this earth that does not know that song. That song was played on secular radio stations, Christian radio stations, everywhere, because it was a great song, right? Because it was good. It glorified God, but the other thing was that it was excellent. It was an amazing song. People who don't even believe in God sing those songs today. We recorded, me and Olga, 2 years ago. I was practicing that song with the boys. They were practicing their singing. Judah, my youngest, he was 3 at the time. One of our friends from South Africa, I think it was BC, we posted him singing Oh Happy Day, and BC was like, man, he's got that South African moan, man. He was just gliding his notes down, and when Jesus washed, it was just like such an old kind of thing, and we posted it, and our friends liked it and everything, and then we have friends, not Christian at all, some of them atheists. They said, I've been singing that song for the past 3 weeks, just walking up and down the house, just singing it. That's the power, that's the responsibility that we have. We're supposed to actually make the trends. We're actually supposed to be, as Dr. King says, the headlight and not the taillight. And the reason why we're not the headlight anymore is because we don't think like this, right? We think, okay, I need to have these strategy meetings about how to grow my brand. That's fine, and you know what? You need to do that. I'm about to have a meeting like that in a couple of days. But you can't lose sight of the fact that success, promotion, comes from God. It doesn't come from man, right? I've had many doors closed on me these past few, especially since October 7th, 2023. On October 7th, Olga happened to be landing in Israel. It was just, she was there to get an award for advocacy. There's an organization that brought her there, and the pilot wasn't landing the plane. She texted us and said, I don't know what's going on. We keep circling around. That's how we found out what was going on in Israel. So, oh my gosh. And then they landed, and she couldn't leave immediately. So she was there for about 4 days. In Israel, she wound up helping start this initiative to get women and children, cancer patients, terminally ill people out of the country while things were going on. So she had a purpose while she was there, and she served it. That's when I began to say more from my artist platform. I would say things here and there, but I started seeing artists, like I said, doing this, bowing to the statue, posting stuff about Israel. I knew they had no idea what they were talking about. They'd never said anything about Israel before this. But their handler said, you need to say Free Palestine, otherwise you're gonna lose your support. And they did. Most of them did, from the biggest artists all the way on down. So I said, okay, you know what, I need to start saying more. So I started writing more in my Substack about it. And that closed a lot of doors for me. There was a couple of festivals I was a part of, couldn't do that anymore. There were artists I was working with that stopped working with me. There were artists that I had to reach out to and say, I can't work with you. And you know what? It was difficult. I lost friends. I lost one of my biggest collaborators, someone we always would do this music together. He was a great rapper. He just ghosted me one day, still hasn't said anything to me ever since. That was hard. Not as hard as being thrown into a furnace, but it was hard. No one likes that. But you know what? So many doors have opened for me since then. There are musicians all over the world that I'm deeply connected to because of that I would have never met had I decided to strategically stay quiet, even though I knew I needed to say something because of my brand and how I'm trying to grow my thing. God will give you the promotion. Dr. Obi really dropped a lot of pearls. So what I'm about to say is kind of just echoing what she said when she talked about the three things when it comes to you and how to have success. One is partnerships. The second one was knowledge. The third one was money. You guys remember that? Very similar to me here. One thing that I've experienced in this walk, in music and being in this space, is it's very, very, very important to not have your life hinge on the industries that you see in front of you. You have to understand that they are inherently wicked. They are. They might be nice people and all that stuff, but if they're not established by men and women of God, then they're inherently wicked systems that are going to eventually fall by the way. They're going to eventually go the way of whatever the wind is blowing. And you just have to understand that. You have to know that you may not be welcome in that space tomorrow. Today you might be fine, tomorrow you might not be. And to safeguard from things like that, one thing that'll help you emotionally is to have a strong family. If you didn't come from one, build one. And that's vitally important. I'm grateful that my parents gave me and my sisters something that, a lot of things that they didn't have, especially my mom. We talked about that quite a bit. There are a lot of things that they provided for us emotionally and spiritually that as we get older and we see more now, we go, wow, you really didn't have the things that you gave to us. How are you able to do that? It's possible. And when you have a solid family, when you have a home that you're excited to go to, the disappointments out there don't matter as much. Okay, you know what? It would have been great if I won this thing. It would have been great if I had won this Grammy, if I won this Emmy, or if I got invited to this, whatever. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna cut on a movie, sit with my kids and watch, our favorite Pixar movie together and just eat popcorn and whatever. Those moments are so important, you guys. Second thing is, build your own ecosystem. That's the partnerships. Build your own community. Have your own set of people. There's a lot of overlap. At the ambassador's house, John was asking him, who are your friends in the African Union? Because he understood the importance of you feel a lot less isolated if you just have a couple of people in your corner. It's the same thing in this industry. It's not as lonely because, like I said, the friends that I've made, I have a whole band and a whole chamber orchestra in Israel waiting and ready when I come out there to play. I got people. In London, I got a whole group of people. They know where I stand, what I do, and that makes our relationship even better because there's this deeper synergy than just let's go on stage and play together, right? That's a beautiful thing. So yeah, not getting invited back to a certain festival, that sucks. I love playing festivals. Festivals are great. But you know what? What's even more important is being in right standing with God and having people around you who will encourage you and sharpen you. And then actually making art that matters and that will ring eternally. And then the last thing is pray for discernment. Because the other side of the coin to being afraid of speaking out is just speaking out about everything. Maybe you're not always called to speak out about every single thing. Having your mission statement, like Dr. Obi said, knowing what you were put on earth to do, what you're supposed to be saying, what you're supposed to be speaking to, which also means what you're not supposed to be speaking to. You know what? This is an important issue, but that's not for me. It's not because I'm scared, but God is leading me over here. I can't put out every fire. I can't tackle everything, right? I have an emphasis. When I watched the Michael Jordan documentary, there are a few times when opportunities would come, and yeah, I considered it, but then I was like, I'm not that. I'm a basketball player. And then he would focus in on that again. It's important to know, to have that anchor. No, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm supposed to speak. This is how I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to close with this. I think I have one more slide here. I would encourage those, and whether you're in the artist space or not, because again, the book of Daniel, it's about Jews living in exile, maintaining their integrity, and still serving and honoring God in the midst of all kinds of debauchery and paganism and all kinds of stuff, right? I would encourage all of us to read it because all of us here, whether it's music or politics, we are constantly in environments that hate us. I'm not saying everyone to a person hates us, but we're constantly in an environment that's not designed for us. We don't really belong there. Does that make sense? We don't actually belong in these spaces. God has moved us there. And the way that these boys live their lives, that's a model for us. We can exist in these spaces without compromising our values and still beating everybody else, still being number one. That's what we're actually called to do. The music that we're supposed to make is supposed to make everyone cop. I can't tell you how many artists I know who don't release, they'll show me a song. I'll be like, when are you going to release this? Oh, I don't know when I'm going to release it. I'm like, this song is amazing. And they don't release it because, well, it doesn't really sound like anything right now. I'm like, right. It doesn't sound like anything, so you should put it out so that people could, so you mean you're going to only release music that sounds like other artists? What is that? We're supposed to start the trends, you guys. Who cares what that's what I mean by it's important to know what's happening online, but don't be a slave to what's trending, because sometimes God will call you to post or say something that's a disruption, and you have to know when you're supposed to do that. Amen? That's actually it. That's my time. Thank you very much.